Well, I was born in Geelong West, and when we were 5, Mum and Dad rented a commission home in Norlane in Uringa Avenue, number 5, which is still there. I spent 20 odd years, basically, a lot of time there. Then I got called up for national service, and when I got home, I went back home to live and got a few jobs and had a great time. Went to Norlane High School, or Norlane State School for a start off, at state school, and then I went to Norlane High School for a year and a bit, and I got a job. We didn't have a TV, but the media coverage was, if Dad bought the paper or something, you'd read it in there, and when they got a TV, and every Christmas they used to have a crew over there interviewing the troops, saying, wishing their family a Merry Christmas and we're fine and all, and basic things like that. It's something different. You know, join the army, it'd be something different to what I was doing, and that, which was dead end job sort of thing. Cold, in the middle of winter, and but it was good fun. Oh, I wouldn't say fun, but it was good. You're learning new things all the time and it was interesting in a way. You're learning new trades or that, what to do in the bush, and have the corporal yelling at you about that far from your face and what you're doing, but it never worried you. When we went to Melbourne, the recruiting office, we got the Warrnambool train, and they had a special carriage for us because there was Warrnambool people, Colac people, blokes on it. So we got talking and all that. Then we got to Spencer Street, and they had this bus waiting right in, as close as the train we get, and about 100 police keeping all these anti-war demonstrators off, and Save Our Sons demonstrators and all that, and got it put on a bus and escorted out of Melbourne as if we were going to jail or something. We done our infantry training centre at Singleton, and when we finished that, which we did a lot of firefighting, there's a lot of fires around that coming up to summer that year, and we had 3 choices. We had 8RA, the reinforcement unit, or to stay in Australia and you got to do CMF. And I thought, no, if I'm here, I might as well go and do what I do. So I put down 8RA and I got that. Singleton was more of a infantry training centre, which was more what would happen if you went to Vietnam. And when the battalion came back, we done lots of exercises to, more training, more anti-mine sort of warfare and all that. It was good. When we first got there, we went over in the Sydney, and sailing up to where they anchored, you could see all the bombs, explosions and all that, and you think, oh God, look at that, But then we got onto the landing barges, and they took us by truck to Louis that, and it was an eye-opener, because people there, because they had no toilets, they just do it outside and all that, so it was a really eye-opener in how they live. Well, we got told, that where we're going to Louis Dat is it's a protected area, so we were right. But it was funny if you went down to Bung Tau on a R&C and or R&R, and you probably half of them were Viet Cong. So they didn't worry you, they didn't try to shoot you or anything like that. But yeah, so a lot of the people there for daytime they were, oh, your friend and I'm my friend. For nighttime they try to go out and try to kill you. We never got told what the aim is, but just sort of patrol and secure the area so there was no Viet Cong. They reckon there was a few Viet Cong battalions around, but we never seen any. But just keep them away. If you're leaving out of Louis Dat by, say, chopper, you get your pack on, your webbing and all that, grab your weapon, and you go down to where the choppers are going to pick you up from. Then there was a couple of gunships always blasting the area where you're going to land, and you get out, run about a dozen steps, hit the ground so the chopper can take off again. Then you get up and form up again, and then your sergeant or whoever was in charge would tell the SWATs, we're patrolling this area and all this. So, it's what we're going to maybe find or something. You didn't know if you're going to step on a mine or tripwires or anything like that. The chap in front of you or behind you, if he looks that way, you'd look that way. So there's your whole area was covered if anyone was around. We got briefed of roughly where we were going, which when we were in Louis Dat we didn't know where it was anyway. So it was all say a rubber plantation or a bush, some bush sort of thing, and basically that was it. Sometimes it was a platoon level, sometimes it was a company level. There was one operation we had, I think might have been along High Hills or something. We had all the companies there, one in different sections of it. Sometimes we might have been out for 3 or 4 days. It depends what they wanted us to do and that, how far we wanted to go. The sergeant would, whoever was in charge of us, generally a sergeant, and he would find a spot where we can harbour down, and he'd sort of, because there was 3 machine guns, one here, one there, one there, wherever, and then the rest of us were on the outskirts of the harbour, trying to sleep a bit, because you had to go and do the machine gun picket, so then wake up the next bloke to do it, and it was a lot of non-sleep too. One of our contacts was, we were in night harbour, and they sent the corporal in charge of that sort of section. He'd take a person out as a security, so we could see if anyone was coming, and he came back in, and then he'd take someone else out to relieve him. And when that happened, there was 2 Viet Cong apparently walking up, and they had an RPG, and they just let it off, a rocket propelled grenade. I wasn't scared, but you sort of think, what's that? What's that? Because you never heard it before and all that, So then one was saying, get down, keep down. So which you did, and it was a wake up, thinking, oh, we're in a war zone now. The training kicked in very quickly. I was okay. yeah, I was sort of okay with what happened, and sort of that's what we're there for, I suppose. We done pre-train, and they got Air Force in and told us how to get on. So we practiced getting how we got on and got off the choppers and flew around Brisbane and back down again at Enoggera, and so we had a bit of experience, not a lot, but yeah, so we knew how to get on and off the choppers. Got to, because there's no doors on them, and that was good really. But only if the chopper went like that, you'd be, oh, there's a ground down there, you know. But it was good. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Came home and I had about a week's annual leave and flew into Melbourne, but I wasn't allowed to wear a uniform. Had to wear my civvies, and there's still protesters there and all that. And but I got discharged in Watsonia. It was still, it was easy but hard, if you never know what I mean. It was easy to get back to to my friends, if they wanted to talk to me, and there, it was hard because there were so many people against us, you know. So I remember we were marching in Melbourne one Anzac Day, and I got covered in paint and all things like that. So there was still a lot of don't welcome home, sort of, you're not welcome here anymore and all that feeling in Australia. I used to work at International Harvester, and that had closed down by then, so I had to get another job. Went to Alcoa for a while. There was one in Geelong. The tractor, you build tractors and that and headers. And then I went to Alcoa, but that was 7-day roster. Sort of, you work straight 7 days, and then you might have 2 days off, and another 7 days on afternoon shift, and 2 days off. But I just couldn't handle that, you know. So I left there and I went to Burmid's. We used to be a casting plant, and I was having trouble there too. Just the way they treated you, sort of thing. Then I went to Ford's and I got a job there, and I was there for 20 years, and I was still having trouble there. I couldn't, you know, my boss had sort of blame you for everything, or I was a forklift driver and you had an area and there was more bosses there and they were telling you off, and I couldn't handle it. I was really, it's one I never had a breakdown. I had a family and kids and that, so I had to do all that, bring money in, and bought a house.